Donald Trump is a child. Donald Trump hasn't grown up yet. Just like on YouTube, figure your brain some new food. Hello people, and welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time on the channel, a special welcome to you. I ask that you check out the rest of my videos. If you like what you see, give them a thumbs up, leave a comment, but more than anything, I'm asking that you subscribe to the channel. My absence from my channel in the last few days was my stance in protest for justice for George Floyd. But considering that now all 4 officers have been arrested, I thought it's only right that I do a follow-up on George Floyd, my protest for justice for George Floyd, the world's protest for justice for George Floyd. But before I get into all of that, I have to give big shout out and big thumbs up to my city of Zurich, Switzerland that I currently live in for coming out in the hundreds in protest for George Floyd, even though the incident did not happen in Switzerland or in Europe. At the same time, I have to big up everybody in London who supported the protest, people from France, Paris who supported the protest. I've seen protests in as far as Ghana, I've seen protests in Greece, and it was overwhelming because with that kind of support, without a doubt, I expect that change will definitely come. So, from my understanding, the police officer, the first one was Chauvin. He was arrested and he was being charged for third-degree murder and manslaughter. However, my initial thought was like, that was clearly second-degree murder in my legal knowledge and my legal understanding and from my legal point of view. So, I expected Chauvin, first of all, I expected all of them to actually be arrested. And I encourage and support the protest all the way up until these 4 were actually in cuffs. Because let's face it, people, if this was a black person or black people in that situation, I've lived in America, and if black Americans are not aware of any charge, they are aware of the term conspiracy or complicit. What I mean is there are a lot of black Americans that are in prison today for the mere fact of conspiracy. They didn't do anything. They were just on the spot when the crime occurred. They was just there when the gun was found or when the shots were fired, and they are in prison doing from 1 year to life in prison. So I was a bit annoyed and upset to see that it took Minnesota so long to arrest all 4 people. The 4 cops are involved. The 4 cops are involved. As long as you were in uniform, as long as you were there touching the body or playing a part of this arrest, you are complicit to any violation and any crime that occur. So I am overwhelmed, and I am pleased now to hear that these cops are being charged for second-degree murder. But I know the history of America, and I also know how technical law can be in any country, not just the United States of America. So, if it was left up to me, of course, I would like to see an eye for an eye, so I would like to see death penalty. But considering law and the respect that I have for law, first-degree murder is definitely out of the case. And for you who don't understand what I mean by that is, first-degree murder requires proof of premeditation. So, you have to be able to prove that before they came on scene, their intention was to kill George Floyd. That cannot be proven clearly. So first-degree murder is out. So that takes death penalty, that takes life imprisonment off the table. Second-degree murder has to prove an intentional act that led to murder, meaning you intended to kill the person without premeditation. And from my viewing of the video, if a human being is crying out that he can't breathe and he's about to die, that's enough to let you know that, hey, this is a warning sign. If your intention is not to kill him, this is the point where you ease up off his neck and let him breathe, let him get air. You didn't give him air, so that proved to me intention to kill. So second-degree murder is 100% absolute applicable in this circumstance. Manslaughter means unintentional killing. So for all the people such as myself who are excited at this moment that they got charged for second-degree murder, don't get too excited, because as long as manslaughter is on the table, the second-degree murder can disappear in court and only leave the manslaughter standing, because in truth and fact, you can't erase the evidence that someone died. You understand? So I'm holding my breath, and I hope that America give George justice. We say justice for George, and I am in 100% support of no justice, no peace. Speaking of no justice, no peace, peaceful protests turn into riots and turn into looting and turn into some level of violence over the last week. And I saw it via TV, I saw it via YouTube. I'm not in support of violence. I'm not in support of riots, but at the same time, I'm human. I understand. A person can only take so much before he or she explodes. And I can't tell people, I can tell them, but I can't force people to tolerate injustice the same way one person tolerates injustice. They're individual people and their tolerance are different. So if some people believe that, you know what, forget this, I'm gonna burn because this kumbaya is not making any sense, it's not doing anything for them, it's not pushing them. So if I start breaking out some windows and start looting and start burning buildings, maybe the government, maybe the people who are truly in charge will understand that we are speaking to you. Can you hear us now? At the same time, I understand that politics plays a part. And as the protests pursued, there were opportunity to take advantage or disadvantage for political reason, you know. So that will always play a part. So at the same time, in every peaceful riot, there's no such thing as peaceful riot. In every peaceful protest around the world, politics will always play a part, and there will always be a high chance that riots break out from peaceful protests for the losing of points of one political party to the gaining of points for the other political party. But in this particular case, if we're talking about Donald Trump, no conspiracy, no secret conspiracy had to play a part to incite riot to mar Donald Trump as a bad leader. Donald Trump already marred himself as a bad leader. I mean, this was a time for leadership. This was when your president or your country's leader are required to come out and preach unity. Donald Trump needs to be charged for inciting a riot himself because he misused the National Guard and have some of his paralegals go and dig up some old law from 1807 to say it is legal to use the National Guards against citizens in domestic issues. I thought that was funny because the comeback was, okay, that is the law, but the law also requires that you cannot deploy the National Guards without the request of each state's governor. And no governor asked Donald Trump to deploy the National Guards. But that's what you get when you vote in someone who was a CEO of corporation business all their life and knows zero about politics. That's what you get when you vote in those people to lead your country. Look closely, people. Donald Trump has always led the United States of America as if it's a corporation, as if it's a company. What do you do in a company? You fire and you hire. And Donald Trump's whole tenure as US president has been strictly that, firing, hiring. I don't like the way you're doing your job, you're fired. Get you. I don't like the way you're doing your job, you're fired. I don't like the way you talk to me, get out of here. Donald Trump have to understand the United States of America is a country where he was employed to work on behalf of the people. When he is, well, in his capacity of a CEO, we can't tell you what to do. It's your companies. You can fire who you want to fire. You can hire who you want to hire. But this is a country. This is a democracy. Donald Trump failed to understand that this is a democracy. Donald Trump is a child. Donald Trump hasn't grown up yet. He's not matured yet. It is a shame that the United States of America, which most countries around the world used to admire and look up to, fell from grace because they appointed Donald Trump as their president. Donald Trump is a child, and Donald Trump is a racist. And I don't know why Mr. Trump doesn't come out and just say, hey, I'm a racist. First of all, Donald Trump, hey, Don, I'm talking to you. You're a racist, and it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing, because I realize that your racism were not acquired by yourself. Your racism was instilled in you by your parents, and that makes it a good thing. That makes you a good son. Most of us strive to make our parents proud. How many of you knew that in 1922, Donald Trump's father, Fred Trump, was arrested at a KKK rally and taken to jail? It is clear that if Donald Trump's father was not a KKK member, he supported the Ku Klux Klan. He was arrested at one of the rallies. So as long as you were at one of those rallies, for most of you who don't know, the Ku Klux Klan is a hate group in the United States of America that makes African American or anyone of black origin their hate target. That's what I'm talking about. And Donald Trump's father was arrested and taken to jail at one of these rallies how many decades ago. That makes a lot of sense that Donald Trump is racist. So Don, you are doing a good thing in respect of what your parents taught you. I'm a Jamaican, and I used to practice a lot of belief and act out in a lot of ways that was instilled in me by my culture. But here's the thing, there was a point in time where I grew up, and I start thinking for myself, and I start reading, and I start learning, and I knew what was wrong from right, and I made certain adjustments and certain changes in my life. But speaking of reading, the Don looks like he can't even read. Recently, because of protocol, the Don was rushed to the White House bunker, the presidential bunker, that was aired to the public. The Don's image got a little blurred there, and he was not happy about the rest of the world hearing that he had to run to the bunker in his own country. So what did he do with his egoistic self? He took the Bible, and before taking the Bible, he asked the National Guards and the police to abuse the citizens and violate their First Amendment for peaceful protest. So the National Guards, the cops were there, the riot police, if you want to call them, obey their master-in-chief, and they beat the heck out of journalists and private citizens so that the Don could walk across the street and hold up a Bible. Who knows if it was a Bible? He didn't even know how to hold a Bible. He just had it like, he didn't know. Someone asked him, is that your Bible? He said, it's a Bible. I did see a video where they asked Donald Trump to quote a passage out of the Bible, and he could not quote a passage out of the Bible. Donald Trump is a racist and is a child, and Donald Trump could never get my respect, and Donald Trump has lost all respect well, he had lost a lot of respect of Americans before, but his act in this time that was necessary for leadership, I don't have to wonder what the outcome of that's going to be. But then again, America is unpredictable. America is the stage for drama. America is the entertainment capital of the world. So this could go two ways. So as much as we're expecting the Don to be voted out of the White House or get kicked out of the White House, let's keep our fingers crossed, because there was an attempt to find him in presidential violations a few months ago, and the Don actually came out on top. But let's see how this thing goes. I'm now happy that these 4 police officers are arrested. One of them were only 25, 26 years old and got himself caught up in that. But at the same time, hate hate is taught, and it's taught sometime at a very young age. Speaking of hate, there was a random incident in New York City, I believe last night, where a police officer was stabbed in the neck unprovoked. I denounce that. I'm 100% against that, because let's face it, not all cops are bad cops. But it's a dangerous time, and it's a dangerous situation, because not all human beings have the same intellectual level or balance to understand that fact. And sometimes some people may see what's going on in the world and they get fed up and they don't know how to react. And that's how this one individual reacts. So I'm putting this out here that just in case anybody is thinking like that, to leave those thoughts out of your head. Let's see if America court system bring justice for George. The United States of America and its people, especially African American. I don't know why they say African American, because I don't hear nobody going around saying European American, black people in America. You see, the United States of America has always had a turbulent relationship with black people, and that's no surprise to me, because when you think about it, it's like painting over old paint, over old wound. You know, if you're a builder, a painter of a house, you know that when the paint starts peeling and you paint over it, it doesn't look good. You actually need to rub everything off and start from scratch. And using that theory there, what I'm trying to say here is the United States of America and its Constitution need to be ripped up and start all over from scratch, because when most of the laws were being written, black people were slaves and they were never conceived to be equal U.S. citizens. So as long as we keep painting over that old paint, it's just not going to work. It's just going to decay and it's going to come through. The United States of America, it's one of the most wrong, should I say, or criminal developed society, I should say. Yeah, it's a criminal developed society. First of all, remember, the United States of America were stolen from the native Indians, and most of them were imprisoned and killed off. And then the blacks were brought from Africa to be enslaved, and after they were used and built America up from scratch, now they were always second-class citizens. So even though slavery was abolished and rights were given to black people, they were still seen as secondary citizens or secondary human beings. They were still never seen as equal human beings. And that is a major part of the problem. That is a major part of the problem. And for that reason, I said the whole United States of America, it just needs to scratch and restart, press reset, and see everybody as humans, because that's what they truly are. Anyway, people, let me know if you share the same views as I do. Let me know if you share the same happiness that I currently share, and let's hope that our happiness does not subside, because I would hate to hear that these 4 officers' charges knocked down to manslaughter. That would just be a kick in the gut and a spit in the face of Black America and its history. Anyway, that's all I have to say right now. I'm running off to a meeting. That's why I'm dressed totally different today. But as you know, on my channel, people, I appreciate thumbs up and thumbs down, agreement and disagreement, because at the end of the day, people, each one teach one. Until next time, peace.